Hilches Avodah Zarah, Perek Shnei Masar. Laws of Idol Worship, chapter 12. The final chapter of these laws. We have a couple of exciting themes today. Shaving the peyot, sideburns, shaving the beard, cross-dressing, tattoos, cuts, bald spots. These were all, according to the Rambam, customs of Avodah Zarah. Even though other opinions hold that some of these laws have no reason, they're chukim, we do them because they're mitzvot hamelech, the mitzvahs of the king. The Rambam holds that they have a specific relationship to Avodah Zarah, so he covers all of them in this one chapter. Here we go. Halacha Aleph, ein megalchin pa'atei harosh. We may not shave the sideburns, the side locks of the head, kemoshe hayu osin ovdei kochavim, as the idol worshippers used to do. Shene'emar, it says, lo takifu pa'at roshchem. Don't make the sides of your head round, which means if you shave your peyot, what ends up happening is you have a round haircut. Your head of hair is all this perfect circle with no protrusions coming out. V'chayav al kol pe'ah u'pe'ah. You get a separate obligation, a separate liability for each sideburn that you shave. Lefichach, therefore, hamegaleach shnei tzeda'av, if you shave both of your temples, afilu bevat achat, v'hatra'ah achat, even together, under one warning, lokesh tayim, you get double lashes. Echad hamegaleach hapeot bilvad. The prohibition applies whether you shave just the side locks, umaniach sa'ar kol harosh, and you leave the rest of the hair on the head. Ve'echad hamegaleach kol harosh ke'echad. Or even if you shave the entire head as one, you didn't specifically shave the peyot, you shaved your whole head. But since as part of that you shave the peyot, lokeh, you get lashes. Ho'il v'gilach haPeyot, since in the end of the day you did shave the peyot, the sideburns. But Medvarim Amurim, says the Rambam, a core principle here. When does the obligation apply? Ish hamigaleach, the man who does the shaving. Aval ish hamitgaleach, but if you sit in a barber's chair and somebody else does the shaving on you, eino lokeh, you don't get lashes, and some commentaries say it's actually permitted. Ela im kein siyah lamigaleach, unless you helped the person shaving. If you moved around, you showed him where, which is very common today. People get haircuts, they tell their barbers how to do it. That's already a help. That already puts you in the category of the prohibition. But if you sat there stone frozen and he did your thing, you definitely don't get lashes. And even if an adult shaves a child's head, because he was megaleach, the man transgressed the prohibition of shaving sideburns, even on someone else, even on a minor, he gets malkut, he gets lashes. Halacha bet, ha'isha shegilcha pa'at rosh ha'ish. What about a woman who shaved the sideburns of a man's head, o shanit galcha, or she herself shaved the sideburns on her head? She got shaved, I should say. Someone else shaved her. P'tura, she is exempt. And some commentaries say, because usually patur means asur, you're exempt but it's still forbidden. She says when it comes to shaving the head of a man, that's exempt but still forbidden. But her own head, right, but it would still imply a prohibition in some ways. But the commentaries say that if she shaved her own head, it's totally permitted. What's the source for this law? Shene'emar, it says, Lo takifu pa'at roshchem, v'lo tashchit pa'at zekanecha. You shall not round the sideburns of your head, and you shouldn't destroy the corners of your beard. Since the Torah puts together the prohibition against shaving peyot and shaving the beard, we learn a principle from here. Kol sheyeshno beval tashchit, whoever has the prohibition of not destroying the beard, yeshno beval takif, has the prohibition of destroying side locks. The isha, but a woman, she'ena beval tashchit, she is not subject to the prohibition of destroying a beard. Lefisha ein la zakan, because she doesn't have a beard. Eina beval takif, she doesn't have the prohibition either of cutting the side locks. Lefichach, therefore, a very interesting conclusion emerges. Ha'avadim, Jewish slaves, who typically have the same rules as a woman when it comes to mitzvahs, here there's an exception. Ho'il v'yesh lahem zakan, since they do have a beard, asurim b'hakafa, they are forbidden to shave their side locks. But a woman, because the prohibition of peyot depends on the beard, she has no beard, so no prohibition for peyot. Now the Rambam, for a second, because he mentioned women and their chiyuvim, their unique obligations, so he goes for a second to talk about in general some rules that govern women's mitzvahs. Halacha gimel, kol mitzvot lo ta'aseh Shabbat Torah. Every single negative commandment in the Torah, echad anashim ve'echad nashim chayavim. Both men and women are obligated. Chutz, with the exception of the mitzvahs we just mentioned, mibal tashchit ubal takif, destroying the beard and destroying the side locks. And one more, ubal yitamak kohen lametim, the prohibition that says that a kohen cannot become impure to the dead relatives of his, doesn't apply to women kohanim. Women kohanim can become impure. Why? Because the Torah says, emor el ha-kohanim b'nei Aharon. Those prohibitions were only given to the kohanim, the sons of Aaron, not the daughters of Aaron. On the other hand, v'chol mitzvat aseh, shehi mizman lizman, ve'ena tedira, any positive commandment that only comes from time to time and is not frequent, it's called in the Talmud, mitzvah taseh shehazman grama, mitzvah, a positive mitzvah that's bound by time, nashim pturot. The general rule is that women are exempt from these mitzvahs, chutz, with the exception of the following 5 mitzvot. Number 1, kiddush hayom, kiddush, sanctifying Shabbat, they're obligated. Why? Because the Torah says, zachor v'shamor. There's a positive commandment about Shabbat and a negative commandment about Shabbat. Whoever the negative commandment applies also has the positive. Therefore, the women are obligated in kiddush. Second, va'achilat matzah b'lilei haPesach. They have to eat matzah on Pesach night, because the Torah uses a specific wording that is inclusive. It doesn't only apply to males. Va'achilat haPesach u'shchitato. They're also obligated to eat and slaughter the Korban Pesach. The Torah over there also says, b'michsat nefashot, the souls, not just men. V'hakel. They're also obligated in the mitzvah of hakel. This year is a hakel year. The Torah says, hakel ha'am ha'anashim v'hanashim v'hataf. It says clearly, men, women, and children. So they're obligated in hakel, even though it only comes once in 7 years. V'simcha, they're also obligated in the mitzvah of being happy on festivals. V'samachta b'chagecha, ata uvincha uvitecha. The Torah says, you, your son, and your daughter have to be happy. So the laws of simcha also apply to them. Sha'anashim chayavot. Women are obligated in these mitzvahs, even though they're time-bound, because these are the exceptions. But in general, the rules are, time-bound mitzvahs, women are exempt. Any negative commandments, women are chayav. Now let's return to the laws of shaving. Halacha daled, tumtum v'androginos. Tumtum and androginos are halachic terminologies. Tumtum means blocked. That means you can't see his organ. You don't know if he's a male or a female. There's nothing there. It's covered.
The tumtum is both.
Androginos is both.
Oh,
androginos is a hermaphrodite. In Greek, androginos is a combination of man and woman. So he has both organs. Harehen safek. In halacha, we look at them both as a doubt. Of course, tumtum is a doubt that you can later on resolve if the skin gets uncovered and you find out if he's a man or a woman. So he's only currently in doubt. Androginos is in doubt inherently. He's born with both organs. So the halacha says we look at them as kind of both. Notnin alehem chumrei ha'ish v'chumrei ha'isha b'chol makom. We give them the stringencies of the men and of the women in all places. V'chayavim bakol. Therefore, they're obligated to do all mitzvahs. V'im avru. But if they transgressed, enam lokim. We can't hold them culpable. We can't give them lashes because maybe they're a woman and therefore they're exempt in certain mitzvahs. Halacha he. Afal pisha ha'isha muteret legaleach pa'at rosha. Even though a woman is permitted to shave the side locks of her head, harehi asura legaleach pa'at rosh ha'ish. As we said, she's forbidden to shave the side locks of a man's head. Va'afilu katan. Even if the man is a child, a minor, asur la legaleach lopea. She cannot be the one to shave his side locks. Again, she's exempt from the whole mitzvah in general. So therefore you might think maybe she has more license to cut other people's payot. No, she can't cut a man's payat, not if he's an adult, not if he's a kid. Halacha vav. Upe'az zu shemanichim batznaim. This corner, this sideburn that we do leave on our temples, lo natnu bo chachamim shiur. The sages gave no amount. Doesn't say how many hairs you have to leave. V'shamanu mizkenenu, says the Rambam. We heard from our elders, she'eno maniach pachot me'arba'im sa'arot, that you don't leave less than 40 hairs. Some texts have arba'a, 4 hairs. But the common and accepted one is 40 hairs. Umutar lelaket hapeot b'misparayim, says the Rambam, big chidush. You're allowed to cut off the peot with scissors. Lo ne'asar ela hashchata betar. The only thing which is prohibited biblically is to destroy it with a razor. Now, the rabbinic authorities go further. They say you shouldn't cut it off even with scissors. It should always be there. But the bottom line is that biblically, it's only betar. So this is all, the first 6 halachot are all about sideburns, the peot. Now we're going to move to the beard. It says that Rambam halacha zayin derech kohanei of the kochavim, the way, the custom of the priests, of idols, hayah lahashchit zakanam, was to shave their beards. Lefichach asrat Torah lahashchit zakan. Therefore, Torah forbids us to shave our beards. V'chamesh peot yesh bo. According to halacha, there's 5 corners of the beard. Lechi ha'elyon, the right cheek. It's kind of placed by the authorities over here, kind of like where you feel the bone, yeah? Ulechi ha'tachton miyamin, and the lower jawbone on the right. Also, you can kind of feel it a little lower here. V'chen mismol, same on the left side, so you have the left cheekbone and then the left bottom cheekbone. V'shibolat hazakan, and the chin, the hair on the chin, literally. Now, the Torah writes that it's many different opinions. Shulchan Aruch. There's many different opinions about exactly where these corners are. So you shouldn't try to get away with it and shave over here, not shave over here. He writes, don't shave anything. But the Rambam says there's 5 peyot. The local, kol peya peya. You get separate set of lashes for every corner of the beard. V'im natlan kulan ka'achat. So therefore, if you remove the whole beard as one, lokech chamesh. You're going to get 5 sets of malkut. Now the Rambam says, ve'eno chayav ad sheyigalchenu bitar. You're only obligated when you shave it with a razor. Shene'emar v'lo tashchit et pa'at zekanecha. It says you can't destroy the corner of your beard, which means giluach sheyesh bo hashchata. It's only when you shave it in a way that destroys the hair, which is done by a razor. Lefichach. Therefore, im gilach zekano b'misparayim, if you shaved your head with scissors, doesn't destroy the hair at the root, patur, you're exempt. Now again, patur typically means patur aval asur. You're exempt, but it's forbidden. But the Bet Yosef, he rules that it's patur umutar. According to the Rambam, if it's not a razor, it's permitted. Tzemach Tzedek famously argues and says that it's asur. That's why Chabad doesn't shave their beard at all, because we follow his psak, that it's totally forbidden. But there are many other Jewish communities who rely on other poskim, and they say that as long as you're not using a tar, a razor, you can shave the beard. The person who is getting shaved, again, does not get malkut. If someone else is shaving you, you don't get lashes until you help. A woman, if she has hair in the beard area, she can cut it no problem, even to destroy it with a razor. And if she destroyed the beard of a man, again, she is exempt because the mitzvah doesn't apply to her. Halachachet, hasafa, the mustache. Mutar legalcho betar, you could even shave it with a razor. What is safa? That is hase'ar shal gav hasafa ha'elyona. It's the hair that's on top of the upper lip. We know it as the mustache. V'chen hase'ar hameduldal min hasafa tachtona. And also the hair that comes out from under the lower lip. The afal pishu mutar, even though it's permitted by law to shave the mustache. Lo nahagu Yisrael lahashchito. Jews were never accustomed to totally destroying the mustache. Ela yigalach k'tzato. You trim a little bit of it. Ad shelo ya'akev achila u'shtiya, until it doesn't block eating and drinking. Yeah, the Ben Ish Chai famously writes that even certain Kabbalists who wouldn't shave anything, they would trim their mustaches. Halachat het, ha'avarat ha'se'ar mish'ar haguf. What about taking off the hair from the rest of the body? Till now we spoke about facial hair. The rest of the body, kigon bet ha'shechi or bet ha'erva, like under the armpits and pubic hair. Eino asur min Torah. That's not forbidden biblically. Ela midivrei sofrim. It's forbidden rabbinically for men. A person who removes this hair, the rabbis can take liberty and give him rabbinic lashes. But when do we say that it's forbidden? If it's a place where the only people who are customarily removing armpit hairs and pubic hair is women. So you don't fix yourself in the way that women fix themselves. Hanashim, va'anashim, but if the local custom is that both men and women remove these hairs, im ha'avir, ein makinoto. If you remove those hairs, no problem, we don't give you lashes. Umutar laha'avir sa'ar sha'ar ha'evarim b'misparayim b'chol makom. Any other hair on your chest, hair on your legs, you can remove that with scissors in any place. That's no problem. Halacha yud. Lo ta'adeh isha adi ha'ish. A woman is not allowed to put on, adi means like jewelry or decorations, but it also includes clothing of men. Like she should put on her head a turban or a hat, a masculine type of hat. Or to wear a coat of armor or the like. Or to shave her head like a man. Now many texts have the word tigaleh, not tigalach, to uncover her head. Women used to go with covered heads. She can't uncover her head like a man. On the other hand, the man shouldn't put on the adornments or the clothing of a woman. Like these colorful dresses, or gold necklaces, in place where nobody else wears those types of clothing, and nobody wears that jewelry, only women do. So if you do that, you're like, it's cross-dressing, you're putting on specifically women's clothing. Hakol kiminhag hamedina. Everything goes according to the custom of the place. Ish she'ada adi isha, v'isha she'adta adi ish. If a man did put on the jewelry, the adornment of a woman, or the woman put on of the man, lokin, they get lashes. Hamalaket sa'arot levanot mitoch hashchorot. If a man picks white hairs from among his black hairs, meirosho o mizkano, from his scalp, from his head, or from his beard, misha yelaket sa'ara achat lokeh. Picking one hair already gets you lashes, mipnei she'ada adi isha, because that constitutes putting on the clothing of a woman. V'chenim tzava sa'aro shachor, or if you dyed all your hair black, misha yitzba se'ar levana achat lokeh. You dye one hair, one white hair black, you get malkut. And why? Because the Rambam calls this literally decorating yourself as a woman does. When it came to the pubic hairs and the armpit hairs, the Rambam just called it tikkun nashim. You fix yourself like women. It doesn't put it into the prohibition of adi isha. The Rebbe writes in a letter, because dyeing hair, picking out hair is something that everybody can see. So you end up looking more feminine. but armpit hairs, pubic hairs, nobody can see. So we can't call that adi isha, but we could call it tikun nashim. Tumtum v'androginos. Again, the blocked genitals and the hermaphrodite. He has both genitals, both reproductive organs. Eino otef ki isha. He doesn't have to wrap himself, cover his head like a woman. V'lo megaleach rosho ki ish. Nor does he have to shave, or could he shave like a man? And again, the other text say megaleh. He can't uncover his head like a woman, like a man. V'im asakein. If he did, eino lokeh. We can't hold him culpable. So he should better wrap his head around, because that way he won't end up being uncovered, which would be a prohibition, but you can't hold him liable for that. Halacha Yud Aleph, now we move to the next topic, tattoos. Ktovet ka'aka ha'amura b'Torah. When the Torah says you should not write into your body something that's indelible, who that means, sheyisaret al b'saro, you scratch into your flesh, v'yimale mekom hasrita k'chol odio o she'ar tzivonim haroshmim, and you fill the place of the scratch with blue dye or with ink or other colors that leave an indelible mark. This, according to the Rambam, the reason why tattoos are prohibited was because that was the custom of idol worshippers. They mark themselves for idols, like a brand, klomar, as if to say, that he is a servant, sold to it, signed up for its service. The moment you mark into your flesh with one of the indelible materials, after having scratched into your flesh, in any place of the body, bein ish, bein isha, whether man or woman, lokeh, you get lashes. Katav v'lo rasham b'tzeva. What if you just wrote into your flesh? In other words, you just made the scratch, but you didn't mark it with color. Or rasham b'tzeva v'lo katav b'srita. Or you marked it in with color, but you didn't gash into the flesh. Patur, you're exempt. Ad sheyichtov v'yika'akea. Till you both write and put in the dye. Shenemar, Torah says, ktovet ka'aka. It's both expressions. When does all the prohibitions apply to bikotev, the one who is actually doing the tattooing? Aval, but like all the other prohibitions so far, zeshakatvu bivsaro v'kik ubo, the person who they wrote into his flesh or marked into his flesh, he didn't do anything. Eino chayav, he's not obligated elim kein siyah, unless he helps. Kadesh yasem maseh, so he does an action. Aval lo asa klum, if he didn't do anything, eino lokeh, he doesn't get lashes. Halacha yudbet. Hasoret srita achat al hamet. If you make a cut into your body as a sign of mourning over a dead person, lokeh, you get lashes. Shene'emar, it says, v'seret lanefesh lo titnu b'vsarchem. Any cut over a dead person, you should not put into your flesh. Echad kohen ve'echad Yisrael. Whether you're a kohen, whether you're a Yisrael. The Rambam says, because in the Torah it's in two places, one about kohenim, one about regular Jews, and we compare them. Sarat srita achat al chamesh metim. If you cut one cut, but you had 5 people you were mourning over, or chamesh sritot al met echad, or you did 5 gashes over one dead person, lokeh chamesh, you get 5 separate sets of lashes. V'hu shehitru bo kol achat v'achat. That's only provided that they warned you over every single one. Halacha Yud Gimel says the Rambam, gedida usrita achati. In the Torah we have 2 expressions for cutting, srita and gedida. They're both the same thing, one prohibition. Except the reason why there's 2 different expressions is because it's 2 different intents. The same way idol worshippers used to cut into their flesh over their dead relatives because of the pain. They used to also gash themselves for the idol worship, a part of serving the idols. It says by the Baal, when Eliyahu had the contest with the 450 prophets of the Baal, when the Baal wasn't answering them, it says they cut themselves as their law was.
The Muslims in Iran do it.
Yeah. Gamze asrat Torah. The Torah also prohibited that. Shene'emar lo titgodedu. You cannot cut yourselves. The difference is, ela sha'al med, if it's over a dead body, bein sarat biyado, bein sarat bikli lokeh, whether you do it by hand or with a utensil, you get lashes. La'avodat kochavim. But if you are cutting yourself for an idol, bikli, if you do it with an instrument, chayav malkut, you get lashes. Biyado, if you do it with your hands, patur, then you're exempt. Halacha Yudalid, ubichlal azharazeh, included in this warning, in this prohibition of lo tidgodedu, the word gud could also be related to aguda, which means group. So included in that is shelo yiyu shnei batei dinin be'ir achat. There shouldn't be 2 separate courts in one city. Zenoheg kiminhag zeh, zenoheg kiminhag acher. One with this custom, one with the other custom. Shadavar zeh gorem lamachalokot gedolot. That causes big arguments. Shene'emar, it says lo tidgodedu, don't make yourself in groups. Lo te'asu agudot. You cannot become into different groupings because that makes arguments among Jews. Halachat tedvav, the final topic of this chapter and of these halachot, is making bald spots over dead people. Hakoreach korcha alamet. Last topic, not last halakha. less discussion. Hakoreach karcha alamet. If you make a bald spot over a dead body, lokeh, you get lashes. Shenemar, it says, lo tasimu karcha ben nechem lamet. Do not put a bald spot between your eyes over a dead body. Echad Yisrael ve'echad kohen shesarat alamet. No matter if you're a Yisrael or you're a kohen, you made a cut. Here it uses the word sarat. It should be shekerach. Made a bald spot over a dead body. Eno lokeh ela achat. You only get one set of lashes. Hakoreach arba o chamesh krachot al met echad. If you make 4 or 5 bald spots over one dead body, lokek kiminyan krachot. You get lashes according to the number of the bald spots that you made. Who? That's provided shehitru bo al kol korcha vekorcha, that they warned you separately for each bald spot. Echad hakoreach biyado o besam. Doesn't matter if you made the bald spot with your hand or with a lotion. O hitbiletz beotav besam, or you dipped your fingers into the lotion. V'hinicham b'chamisha mekomot berosho bebat achad, and you touched 5 separate spots on your head as one. Now you made 5 bald spots simultaneously. Ho'il v'karach chamesh krachot. Since you made 5 separate bald spots, afal pi shehi atra achat, even though you only got one warning, lokeh chamesh. You get 5 separate sets of lashes. Sharei kulan ba'in ke'achat. They all come as one, and they can all be considered a violation of this warning.
Even the hair like in between his eyes, like the eyebrows, or
Not just
The literal translation is over here, yeah. But because it says also beroshchem, so we say both. He says right now, V'chayav al kol harosh keben ha'inayim. You're obligated over the rest of the head, like the hair between your eyes. Shenemar, as it says, lo yikirchu korcha berosham. Separate verse. Don't make a bald spot in your head. The kama shiur hakorcha. How much is considered a bald spot? How many hairs? Kedei sheyira'eh merosho. It should be visible on your head. Ki gris panui b'li seyar. An empty space the size of a gris with no hair. Gris today, the commentaries say, but the size of a dime. 36 hairs is how it's described in the Mishnah, but today that's the way they frame it. Halachat hedzayin, the final halacha, hakoreach rosho, one who makes a bald spot in his head, o hasoret b'ifsaro, or one who gashes into his flesh, not over a dead body for a different reason. Al betosha nafal, val svina tosha nitba'a bayam, if your house fell down or your boat sank, patur ve'no lokeh, you are exempt, you don't get lashes, ela al hamed bilvad, o hasoret la'avalot kochavim, only if you do it for a dead body or for idol worship. Hakoreach karcha berosho shel chavero. What if you make a bald spot on your friend's head? V'asoret srita b'ifsar chavero. Or you cut a gash into your friend's body. V'akotev ktovet ka'aka b'ifsaro shel chavero. And you write a tattoo into your friend's body. V'hayach chavero mesayeh, and your friend was helping in all of these actions. Bizman sheshnehen mezidin, if you're both doing it on purpose and defiance. Shnehen lokim, you both get lashes, you both did a deed. Echad shogeg ve'echad mezid, if one was inadvertent and one was purposeful, hamezid mishnehem lokeh, v'ashogeg patur. The one who did it on purpose gets lashes, the inadvertent one is exempt. Brich rachmana desayan, blessed is Hashem who grants us assistance and helped us finish Hilchot Avodah Zarah, Mazal Tov, V'siman Tov.